A meeting between KwaZulu-Natal taxi operators and the Transport Department over the impounding of vehicles owing to operating permits has reportedly yielded no results. The police last month had to intervene after parts of the N2 and N3 highways were closed off in Durban. Let's speak to the KwaZulu-Natal Sanco's Sifiso Shangase. Mr. Shangase, good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time. Let's start with what collapsed the meeting on Tuesday, which was led by the police commissioner in KZN, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi.
Good evening, Xoli, and the viewers at home. First and foremost, I need to clarify that I did indicate that I did not form part of the meeting which took place between the commissioner as well as our colleagues within the taxi industry. When I actually spoke to the colleague who actually invited me then to form part of this discussion, she said, you guys want to get our perspective as Santaco on this issue. But in terms of attending the meeting itself, I did not attend both meetings, the one that was held on Sunday and the previous meeting. Hence, I would not be well vested with the information of what collapsed or what is the impasse between the parties that attended the meeting which took place yesterday.
All right, that's well understood. But are you aware of the problems that exist between the Transport Department and taxi operators in KZN?
Since one is part of a provincial executive council and I'm the provincial office manager, we normally have meetings with the Department of Transport. And the issues that have been raised by our colleagues then from the long distance, the ones that attended the meeting, it is alleged that they have a problem or a challenge with regards to how PTU, which is a public transport enforcement unit, operates. One, the concern is whenever there is a transgression from the side of the operators, especially that they are not in possession of operating licenses, the law empowers PTU members to impound the vehicle because they are not given the authority then to issue a notice of transgression. They would impound the vehicle, and then the magistrate is the one that is given the powers to determine the amount of money that has got to be paid as per the transgression that the minibus tax would have been found wanting. And in that case, our members then are complaining that this kind of an operation becomes unfair to them, but it is basically empowered by law. Hence, it's something that has got to be viewed by all parties as well as the legal fundis to be able then to see how, if the need arises, it could then be amended if and when the need arises.
Yeah. The Public Transport Enforcement Unit, this is understood to be the unit that was specifically formed to deal with taxi violence, but it does appear that it is this very same unit that is now impounding taxis. Now, you talk about the law. The National Land Transport Act, I hope I've got that one correct. The understanding is that that particular law does not empower this unit to either impound taxis or take the license discs that are usually posted on the windshield. Is that what this unit is understood to be doing, which is impounding the taxis? If not impounding, they take possession of the license operating disc.
Well, in terms of the Empowering Act, here in KZN, we also have regulations which are deliberating or dealing with the issues of how to regulate public transport. And these regulations might be the ones that then are empowering this unit then to be able then to impound, if it's not the NLTA. But what we know of is they are formed within an act, and that act then empowers them to actually impound rather than giving you a notice. And they will sometimes remove your disc so that you then come back and then the vehicle could then be in a position to be impounded. If the need arises, then for that vehicle to be impounded.
And so what seems to be the solution here in Santaco's view, because the police commissioner, when he ended that meeting on Tuesday, which you were not part of, the understanding was that he was of the view, he's quoted in the media as saying, he will have to ask for the intervention of the MEC responsible for transport in KZN. At the same time, he was going to report to his bosses at national level for some kind of intervention. Now, I'm asking you for your opinion as to what is going to help solve this problem.
Well, my opinion is very easy. We are a constitutional democracy, and the rule of law is always going to be applicable so that the country could not become a banana republic. The only best bet for all of us is to probably be capacitated in terms of understanding the content of the prescript of the law. If ever then there is a challenge with regards to the interpretation of the content, I think that is going to be one other solution for us then to be able then to have individuals who could be able to read and interpret the contents and then be able then to convey to us what was actually intended by creating PTU and what are the roles and responsibilities of this unit. And then what does the law say about their enforcement? Where do they go, how do they go, and how far should they reach when they're actually dealing with issues that are pertinent to minibus taxis, because they were created for taxi-related matters. And I think that would be the best bet for all of us, because if we do not understand or we are not capacitated in terms of the know-how and the content and the interpretation, we'll always get misled or misinterpret, which would always then lead to impasses, which are unnecessary, by the way, because once we get a clear interpretation of the law, we all then should be in a position to apply that law and understand the content of the law itself when it's being applied to all of us.
Santaco is a national taxi body that represents taxis across South Africa. Your relationship with the protesting operators right now in KwaZulu-Natal, how would you describe that relationship?
Well, our relationship is cordial because we are all taxi operators. You can't be a member of Santaco without being a taxi operator. And whatever they feel, it does have a pinch on all of us. But the crux of the matter and the reality is that whatever that our colleagues are raising should be issues that are affecting the entire taxi industry as well as the entire fraternity within the sector of minibus transport. And if ever there are issues that they were raising, that is why we did not want to counter the discussions that they had with PC and the department, because at the particular time when they raised these issues, they knew exactly what was the content of the challenge that they are faced with. Hence, we then as the leadership decided to give them a chance to lead the discussions on the basis of these challenges that they were raising. But the leadership within the province itself is always open to assist where it's required, and the representation of all the needs of the minibus taxis in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, we have a leadership that is committed to that as well, especially the leadership that is leading Santaco. But to be precise on your question, our relationship is cordial. At any given time, if they intend to raise issues with our leadership goes to them and then they attend together. But at their level and being long distance operators, if they would also want to engage with government, we would always encourage that all discussions should be through a body or a structure, because that on its own, it gives impetus and weight. But if there are incidents which are happening at a taxi association level, then sometimes it is better to listen to the operators that are operating there so that they are able then to voice out their concerns as they feel the pinch and then the government will be in a position then to assist. But our arms and doors are always open to come and assist our colleagues where we could.
The reason I asked that question, Mr. Shangase, is precisely the question of representation, because
Yes.
they have told us, as we sought to have this discussion with them, that the reason they bypassed Santaco in the province and went straight to negotiate or have discussions with the Transport Department alongside the police commissioner was because Santaco did not represent them well. How do you respond to that?
I think it's basically not an objective view to say that. I think they are very much subjective, or that individual that was responding to that question. Because when we talk of Santaco, when we negotiate on behalf of all the minibus taxis, we don't segregate on the basis of whether you do long distance or you do short distances. In terms of all the challenges that are raised by operators, we're always available to be able then to address them. The case in point, the issues of operating licenses. There has been an incident in the province of KwaZulu-Natal whereby there was a moratorium on issuing of new operating licenses. But due to the fact that there were other challenges which the government did not do in order for them then to have this moratorium, whereby you needed to have a feedback from the municipalities in terms of space and so forth and so on. And there were certain other loopholes which our leadership was able then to raise. There was then an agreement to say, let us have phase 3, which was going to be accommodating everybody, including our colleagues from these taxi associations with whom it is alleged that they've been meeting with PC. And in that particular exercise, everyone was assisted, irrespective of whether you are doing which distance, and they themselves benefited through that. And I think probably an appropriate manner to deal with this issue is for all of us, including ourselves and them, to sit around the table and find out what it is really that they are saying we are misrepresenting them, so that we could be able then to give them our version of the issues and the stories which we are alleged not to have been representing. Because from our side, we have been going all out to try and represent the minibus taxi within our ability. And we pride ourselves in terms of our track record for the work that we have done for the taxi industry in the province of KwaZulu-Natal.
Yeah.
And that is being, evidenced by mutual working relationship with other provinces that are coming to our province with the aim of sharing ideas, learning from what we've already been able to achieve. That is a clear indication that as part of KwaZulu-Natal Santaco, we've done drastic work to ensure that we deliver for our constituency. But we cannot be perfect. If there are incidents whereby it's alleged that we have not been able then to represent appropriately, I think the doors are open within our offices, and our fellow colleagues are at liberty then to come and approach the leadership, and then we're able then to thresh out the differences in terms of how they perceive us.
Yeah. Final question to you, sir. The commissioner of the police, when he ended the meeting, I just want to quote his words directly as we look for a way forward. He said, and I quote, "In a dispute regarding the law, the best option is to approach the court to interpret the law correctly." Those were the words of Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, the police commissioner in KZN. Do you think that this is perhaps the best option moving forward?
Well, if the dispute is regarding the law itself, yes, we definitely need individuals who have got expertise when it comes to law-related matters. It could either be an appointment of a retired judge who could be able then to provide a legal opinion on the matter. It could either be a declaratory order where we could go to the courts, and then the judges will be in a position then to declare the interpretation of the operation of the act itself. There are many ways which probably this could be adjudicated, but eventually the bottom line is we will need to get somebody who is legally astute to be able then to interpret and be able then to come with an opinion which will enable everybody then to understand what the law is all about, what the law is intended to do, and how is the law supposed to be applicable when it's being applied by PTU. Yes, indeed, it's one of a solution if the problem is related to interpretation of the law. But we can even appoint a judge who's retired, and that judge could be in a position to give us an opinion. But it should be somebody with expertise when it comes to law, yes, if the issue is about the interpretation of the law.
All right. Sifiso, Shangase, thank you very much for your time. KwaZulu-Natal representative of the Santaco body. This is a national body that represents the taxi industry. Thanks indeed for your thoughts.